If you are not exercising, you are increasing your chance of early death by 300 to 500%. I'm going to say that again. If you're not exercising, cardio and weightlifting, you're increasing your chance of an early death by 300 to 500%. Now, we all know how bad smoking is for you, but smoking only increases your chance of an early death by 50%. And now, I'm not saying that you should start smoking, but what I am saying is you should start exercising. Dr. Peter Attia, a well-known, renowned expert in the area of longevity, came out with this information recently on his podcast, on his social media, and in his amazing book called Outlive. I'll put the link to that below, but Peter Attia constantly is giving great information. But this idea that the lack of exercise can have that kind of effect on the longevity of your life is just mind-blowing for me. Now, today in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 reasons why people, men in particular, struggle with having an exercise routine, what gets in the way, and then 5 things you can do to jumpstart your exercise program. And then at the end, I'm going to share with you my bulletproof process that I use to figure out how to make this part of my life, because it is a big part of my life now. It's actually the foundation of what Jody and I talk about in Retirement Transformed, our 7 pillars. The foundation for us is our physical wellness that bleeds into our mental wellness and our relationships and everything else. Before we start, I want to mention there's a download below, your health and wellness checklist. Download that and use that as a tool to start this journey on a physical wellness program. I think back on my dad, who was a Marine, and I remember as a very young man, my dad was big, probably was 240 pounds. He was strong, he had a massive chest, big arms, strong legs, and he could do anything that would just amaze me. When we used to go to the carnival and I was 8 years old, he was the guy that would walk up to that little game where you took a mallet and slammed it and the little ball shot up and rang the bell. And he always was able to do that. I couldn't even lift that thing. I remember my dad, when I was probably 10 years old, we'd go to the annual Bronxville Rotary Club softball game where the members of the business community would play softball against the high school teachers at Bronxville High School. And every time, nearly every time that my dad was up at bat, he would hit a home run outside over the fence in softball. And it was just amazing. And as we grew up and I became 15 and 17 and 19 and 21, he still maintained this amazing strength that just was impressive. I was never, ever as strong as he was. Now, I didn't really work out much. I was never a Marine, so I didn't have that DNA inside of me. But I do remember that he was this way until he wasn't. And then I remember, started drinking a little bit. He stopped going to the gym. He really stopped taking care of himself. He wasn't eating right, and he started to shrink. And he started to shrink in my mind at the age of 50, 55, certainly at 60. His clothes became baggy because he wasn't taking care of himself. And that hurt me. That was hard to see. And I see a lot of other older people, the same thing happens. All of a sudden their clothes look baggy. So I just figured, well, maybe that's the way it was. But he retired at 65, and that really, honestly, was the end of him, because he completely stopped exercising. He stopped walking, started watching TV all day long, drank too much, ate terribly, and unfortunately, he died at 80. And I think he could potentially still be alive today if he knew what I now know and what you now know about the benefits of exercise, weight exercise and cardio, to not only extend your life, but give you quality of life well beyond your years. You know, if you watched my video a couple weeks ago, I talked about Lou, the 90-year-old man who I played golf with, and how he still exercises 6 days a week at 90. And he shot a 77 on the golf course. If you haven't watched that one, just, when you're done with this, take a look at it. It's really an amazing story about a guy who had a different outcome than my dad. And I'm not dissing my dad or saying anything bad about him. He still was a great man, and I love him dearly for everything that I learned. but he made some mistakes when it came to exercising. Okay, let's talk about the 3 main reasons why it's so hard to start or maintain an exercise program. The first one is lack of immediate gratification. Now, I hear this all the time. People say, I've been to the gym 3 days this week, looked in the mirror Friday night, and I don't look any different, and I don't feel any different. So they quit. You know, it takes a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month to really figure out how it feels, how it looks, and the benefits you get from exercise. So you really can't give up. This idea that you go to the gym 3 days this week and everything's solved, well, first of all, it's hard to keep going because you're feeling like I'm not really getting anything out of it. So that's the first thing. You have to change that mindset. You've got to think about this for long term. Second reason is, as we age, 55, 60, 65, it's harder. You know, we're a little out of shape. I was way out of shape 5 years ago. Gosh, 10 years ago, I probably was 20 pounds overweight. I was still drinking a lot, so I had a lot of hangovers. I wasn't eating right. I was heavy. I was weak. I didn't know where to start. And I struggled. And I really had a hard time getting to where I am today. But now I'm so grateful that I stuck with it. So I know it's hard. I know you don't know where to start. I know you might feel like crap. And I know you're like, I'm 30, 40 pounds overweight. I don't know what to do. Well, I'm going to talk to you in the end. Stay to the end. I'm going to share with you my bulletproof way in which to really start and maintain this program. And the third reason why men and women have such a hard time starting or maintaining an exercise program is really lack of structure and no idea what to do. And I get that. I didn't know what to do. I started off actually using an app on my phone called Freeletics, and I bought some weights for the garage and I bought a mat, and that gave me a little bit of structure, but honestly, I could just decide I wasn't going to work out today. And that continued to give me bouts of failure and the inability to really keep going. So the 3 things: lack of immediate results, lack of accountability and structure, and the fact that we feel older and it's really hard to start. Those are the 3 things that really stop us from doing what we need to do so that we can live longer and healthier. So here's 5 steps that you can implement right away to start a wellness exercise journey for yourself. So step number 1 to start an exercise program for yourself is to start small. Don't have these grandiose ideas of, I'm going to go to the gym 6 days a week. I'm going to crush it. I'm going to join the best gym. I'm going to get the best outfit and all of that. Just start small. Don't get overwhelmed by the whole thing. Just say, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. Or I'm going to walk 10 minutes out of the house one way and come back 10 minutes. Get back, celebrate a little bit, do the same thing the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And commit to do it for 5 days. Now, you could live in an area of the world right now where it's really, really cold and there's snow, but you can layer up for that. So don't put excuse like that in front of you, because you're never going to start. But don't get overwhelmed with this huge idea that it's got to be like an amazing, long process to go through. Just start small and keep it simple. The second thing you want to do is put it on your calendar. So I know it sounds kind of crazy, like you have to schedule exercise, but you do. So if you're still working in your career, or even if you're retired, if you put it on your calendar, whether you have a handwritten calendar or electronic calendar, it's always going to be there. And for me, it's in there every single morning. I happen to go at 4:45 a.m. I get up early before that. And if you stay to the end, I'm going to share with you why I do that and how that works for me. But you've got to schedule it in your calendar. You've got to tell your wife or your husband that you're doing it. You've got to tell your kids. You've got to tell your friends. You've got to make it part of your daily routine, or it's not going to happen. Now, number 3, you want to focus on strength and cardio. Like I said in the beginning, Dr. Attia says that if you don't build muscle and if you don't improve your cardiovascular health, you have a 300 to 500% chance of shortening your life and living it, in a chair, let's say. So you don't want that. So You want to focus on strength and cardio. And at first, you know what? Just walk. Walk 20 minutes a day, and then 30 minutes, and then 40 minutes, and then come back to the house and do 5 push-ups. And if you can't do a regular push-up, then do push-ups on your knees. The thing is, you want to start pushing yourself a little bit. Buy some used weights on Facebook Marketplace and do some curls and do some leg lifts and do some stand-ups. There's so many resources online for you to figure out what you can do. And ultimate for me would be to join the gym. That's what I ended up doing. And again, I'll talk about that at the end. But you've really got to focus on the strength and cardio part of your exercise program. Okay, 4th thing, you've got to make it enjoyable. You know, if you go to the gym, let's say, and you don't like a treadmill, then don't go on the treadmill. Do something else. If you don't like doing pull-ups, then don't do pull-ups. The thing is, find some things that you do like. Maybe you want to join a class. You know, there's the YMCA right down the street here in Marco has great classes for seniors. And it's specifically designed for beginners to figure out how to make sure you do a good warm-up, you do some stretching at the end, and in the middle you do some exercises that aren't too much. But you have to like it. And I don't know, does everyone love going to the gym? I do now, but I didn't at first. I actually hated it. Okay, the 5th thing you want to do, you need some sort of accountability. Now, I don't know if that's your wife or your friend or someone you start going to the gym with, you start walking with, but when you get an accountability partner, then everything changes because you're committed. You've made a commitment to someone else and they're going to be there with you, and you're going to have to figure out how to go together to the gym. So that's really important. Now, I want to share with you everything that I do that's made this journey for me, my physical wellness journey. I'm going to call it bulletproof. The first thing you need to do is start thinking big. And when I say big, what's your vision? And a vision isn't that I'm going to go to the gym 5 days this week. That's the activity. The vision is what you want to look like and feel like in the future. And for me, at age, I'm nearly 68, my physical wellness vision is so simple. I want to be physically independent at the age of 90. That means that I'm not, using a cane or a walker. I'm still able to drive. I'm still able to play golf like my friend Lou. So having a vision is the first place you need to start. Second place is you got to remove all the obstacles. If you don't know what to do, or you don't know what to wear, or you don't know where to go, you've got to figure that out. Once you remove all the obstacles, then you can actually do something. For me, during my career, I had the Lululemon outfit, I went to the gym, I had a trainer. I kind of figured that all out, but then I just wouldn't go. I had the outfit, I'd go there, I'd see clients, I'd see accountants and lawyers that would send me business, and it was more of a social meeting than it was an exercise. And I realized that that was getting in the way of what I wanted to do. That's when I started working out at home in the garage with my own weights. And that was good in that I didn't get distracted by other people, but it was easier not to show up to do the work. So that's the second thing that's really important. The third thing for me was figuring out what kind of routine I wanted. I mentioned earlier that I used an app called Freeletics online, and there's a whole bunch of different exercise apps. And that actually worked really well for me for about 4 years. I would probably work out 2 days a week, maybe 3, but then I'd skip a week or 2 and I'd go back at it. But I know that I was moving, I was trying, I was encouraged. My biggest struggle was figuring out when to do it. And that was a big aha moment for me. You have to understand how habits work and habit stacking. For me, the first thing that I did in the morning, every morning when I get up, is I'd flip on the news and have a cup of coffee. And I would schedule the gym or my exercise routine at 9 o'clock in the morning. Now in retirement, it doesn't really matter because you don't have a job to go to, so you can do it anytime you want. I find it a lot easier to go in the morning than to go at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, I'm kind of tired and I make more excuses. I needed to get the exercise out of the way. So long story short, the big change I made, I put exercise before my cup of coffee. And I did that for probably 2 years. And that forced me, because my big reward was a cup of coffee. And in order to create a new habit, there's this study that was done at London University to see how long it takes someone to bring a new activity into their life and make it a habit. And the average number of days was 66 days. So if you can repeat the same activity for 66 days, what happens is at the end of day 66, it's harder not to do it than it is to do it. So for me, I exercised and then I had my coffee, and I did that 5 days a week. And I did that consistently. Now, I would certainly take a break once in a while, but I did that consistently for a couple years, and I got really proud of myself, and I was really good at it. And I was able to get the exercise in, and my reward was coffee. What I do today is completely different. Part of what I missed in the exercising in the garage was community. So a year and a half ago, I joined a gym down here on Marco Island, and Jody joined the same gym. It's called Get Cat Fit, and it's like a boot camp. And I had driven by this place on my way to the recycling center dozens of times, people outside flipping tires and all of that, and I'm thinking to myself, I'll never be able to do that. But I had friends that told me about it, and they talked me into going to one of the classes. So I went to the 8 a.m. class, and there were 25 people in there, and it was chaos. Then I realized, for me, I really need to go early. So I started getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the 5 a.m. class. And I did that the first time, and it was hard, and it was embarrassing. I didn't really know anybody. I didn't really know what was going on. I was learning all kinds of new ways to exercise. But I'm telling you, a year and a half later, that 5 a.m. class that I go to 5 days a week, I have amazing friends in there. They're all local, they're different ages, they're in different professions. There's a couple of other retired people, but most of the people in there are younger, and they have kids and they have jobs. And they go at 5 a.m. because they need to put it before everything else so that they exercise. So that's really what I've been able to do, and it's made a dramatic change in my life. I feel better, I know I look better, I've lost weight, I've gained muscle. I'm on a path to be physically independent at the age of 90, and I'm so excited about that. And you can too. Now watch this next video, our top 5 retirement hacks. In this video, 2 of our retirement hacks are around the topic of physical wellness and exercise. So I think you'll really enjoy it.